Some people will make you feel guilty for surviving, not for lying, stealing, or even cruelty. For surviving. The moment you stop answering every call, they call you selfish. The moment you protect your peace, they call you cold. The moment you choose yourself, they act like you committed a crime. And if you're not careful, guilt becomes a leash. A quiet one, not around your neck, around your mind. It teaches you to apologize for having limits, to feel ashamed for saying no, to betray yourself so other people can stay comfortable. But here's the truth. A lot of guilt is not morality. It's social control. And the saddest part? Most people don't even realize how much of their life has been shaped by guilt they never deserved. So tonight, I want to talk about 5 things you should never feel guilty about. Not because life is easy, not because people will understand, but because if you keep feeling guilty for these things, little by little, you disappear. And by the end of this video, I want you to ask yourself one uncomfortable question. How much of your life have you been living just to avoid disappointing other people? The first thing you should never feel guilty about is outgrowing people. This one hurts because sometimes the people you outgrow are the same people who once helped you survive. The friend who knew you when you were broken, the family member who was there when things were hard, the people who knew an older version of you, and that history makes leaving feel like betrayal. But history alone is not a reason to stay. Some people only love the version of you they can control. The insecure version, the available version, the version that asks for permission. The moment you evolve, they say you've changed. And they're right. You did. That was the whole point. Not everyone is meant to follow you into every chapter of your life. Some people are a bridge, not a destination. And the darkest part is this. Sometimes people don't miss you. They miss access to you. You are not evil for growing beyond places where you no longer fit. Trees don't apologize when their roots crack concrete. The second thing you should never feel guilty about is saying no. For some people, no is an insult, not because it hurts them, because it exposes what they expected from you. A lot of people don't love your kindness. They love your compliance. As long as you say yes, you're wonderful, generous, sweet, reliable. But the first time you say no, suddenly you're difficult, arrogant, ungrateful. And that tells you everything. A boundary doesn't destroy healthy relationships. It only destroys relationships that depended on your lack of boundaries. Think about how many times you said yes when every part of you was screaming no. How many times you gave your energy away because disappointing someone felt more terrifying than exhausting yourself. That's how people slowly lose themselves. Not in one dramatic moment. In small daily betrayals. One forced smile, one unwanted favor. One fake agreement at a time. You don't owe your life to everyone who asks for a piece of it. No is not cruelty. Sometimes it is self-respect spoken out loud. The third thing you should never feel guilty about is protecting your peace. There are people who will drag chaos into your life and then accuse you of changing when you stop entertaining it. They call it distance. But sometimes distance is survival. Not every battle deserves your voice. Not every insult deserves your response. Not every invitation deserves your presence. Some people feed on reaction. They want your anger, your explanations, your emotional energy. Because attention, even negative attention, is still power. And the older you get, the more you realize something disturbing. Peace is expensive. It often costs friendships, relationships, access, expectations. But chaos costs more. It costs sleep, clarity, health, years of your life. There is a strange guilt people feel when they stop attending every drama, as if silence means weakness. But often silence is not weakness. It is wisdom. A lion doesn't turn around every time dogs bark. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is refuse to participate. The fourth thing you should never feel guilty about is choosing yourself. This is where people get uncomfortable, because a person who chooses themselves becomes harder to manipulate. If you were raised to please, to obey, to keep everyone happy, then self-prioritizing feels almost illegal. You'll hear voices in your head. That's selfish. You should be more understanding. What about everyone else? But here's something brutal. Many people will gladly let you destroy yourself, as long as it makes their lives easier. They won't stop you. They'll thank you. And if you keep living for applause, you'll wake up one day in a life built entirely for other people. A career you didn't want. A relationship that drains you. A version of yourself you barely recognize. And the worst part? Everyone will call it maturity. But it's not maturity if it costs your soul. Choosing yourself doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop abandoning yourself to prove that you do. That's different. Very different. The fifth thing you should never feel guilty about is walking away. Especially when walking away is the only thing keeping you alive inside. People romanticize loyalty, but loyalty without dignity becomes self-destruction. You can stay in bad friendships out of loyalty, bad jobs out of loyalty, bad relationships out of loyalty, even bad family dynamics out of loyalty. And slowly, loyalty becomes another word for fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being called cold, fear of starting over. But sometimes walking away is not quitting. It is refusing to die slowly. And yes, people will talk. They always do. They will tell the story from the angle that protects them. You may become the villain in someone else's version of events. That is the price of freedom. And sometimes freedom is expensive. But regret is worse. Much worse. Because one day you may realize you didn't lose years because people hurt you. You lost years because you stayed long after you knew you should have left. And that kind of truth keeps people awake at night. So remember this. You should never feel guilty for outgrowing people. For saying no. For protecting your peace. For choosing yourself. For walking away. Because guilt can be useful when it protects your conscience. But when guilt is used to make you smaller, it is no longer conscience. It is captivity. And maybe that's the real tragedy of being human. Not that people hurt us, but that we sometimes help them do it because we were too guilty to stop them. So here's the question I want to leave you with. Who would you become if you stopped apologizing for surviving? Think about that. And if this video hit something real in you, then do 3 things. Subscribe for more videos like this. Like this video if you felt even one line. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And most importantly, comment below. What is one thing you stopped feeling guilty about? And how did people react? Sometimes the most honest things are hidden in the comments. And I'll see you in the next one.